alma mater for our undergraduate degrees, and occasionally we occasionally get together at lunchtime and do what I call intellectual conversation. What I'm going to do tonight, there are a lot of things that can go wrong, so I'll warn you beforehand. These as most of you know, I have a weakness for Oriental themes, and I started trying these recently. I have not gotten one absolutely right yet, and it might be a while till I get one absolutely right. But these are variations on the same theme, and there are many more possibilities over what I have done here. You can do it the other way, you know, and put the tea light in the top, and you can just set it in there. You can make a little something to hold it with, and have it sit a little higher so you'll see the light a little better, and then you can put it clear down in the bottom if you want. So your imagination really is unlimited in what you can do. The problem is getting from here to there. You have to start. There are a number of ways to do this, but the way I'm doing it and the way these were done requires as near a perfect cube as you can get. Now that's the problem, because you know, you've got to cut it exactly the same 3 ways, and it has to wind up a perfect cube. And then you have to figure out a way to mount the thing so that you can arrive at that end. And there are a couple of ways to do that. You can cut 2 corners, and then you've got to get dead center on those corners. I have not been able to do that. I haven't been able to get it that way. So there is another way. Now I ought to tell you, this is cypress. It is fresh cypress. It's water throwing fresh cypress. As you know, cypress is never ever absolutely dry. At least I've never found any. I have a cypress log in my basement that's been there for probably upwards of 15 years, sitting in the dry. I think the moisture content is still in the 20s. I do not know if cypress ever dries. I selected this intentionally because this can be a very dusty operation, and I don't need the dust, and you folks don't need the dust, and we are confined. We can't open the doors. So the first thing you have to do is figure out a way to mount this up so that you're mounting corner to corner. And what I decided to do was put a cup center in the tailstock and simply use the headstock as my now this is only the start, and we crank that down good. Now what we have to know is that it is on there reasonably straight. So I have a corner right here, 1 corner. I'm going to put a pencil mark on the tool rest right there. Now if I'm lucky, I'll have 3 corners that'll meet that pencil mark. It's off a little bit. Now if it's off much, you're going to have the problem that I have essentially with all of these. You're going to have a thick side and 1 or 2 thin sides. And I haven't really mastered that yet, but what I do is I try to bump it around a little. I shouldn't have done that. Shouldn't have done that. That wasn't good. That's about as close as I'm going to get it. Now, I was going to bring a few ponchos. I told you there's a lot of things that can go wrong. I think Bonnie will be the designated catcher. So if this, if this comes out, there's a chance it's going to go your way, or something like that. Although I did have one come out and go over my shoulder when I was practicing these things. Another problem that you're going to have is you're going to have to be willing to do some serious sanding, because you are moving so rapidly from end grain to side grain that it's almost impossible to avoid tear out. So you need very sharp tools, and you need as high a speed as you can tolerate. Now obviously here, where we simply are holding it by friction, we're not going to be able to turn it very fast. So we'll keep it down to start off with. We have to put a tenon on both ends because we have to be able to hold it from both sides. This one, I let the bottom tenon on, but I didn't like it very much. So the rest of them, I took the bottom off. Here we go. I wonder how fast that's turning. I better turn that clear. Turn that clear down. Okay. Let's do the back one first.
Larry, did you say the size of the wood?
Beg pardon?
What size of the wood?
The size of this is 4 3/4 by 4 3/4 by 4 3/4 or thereabout. And that's the problem. The thereabout's the problem. Okay. That won't work, obviously. Now the nice thing about this is you do have a ghost to watch. If you look at it, you'll see a ghost there and a ghost there. This ghost goes away, that one stays. We're cutting a lot of air. And the tool rest is way too high. I'm getting wet. a little big, but that'll be all right. It goes away eventually, so it doesn't matter if I mark it. Put a little more of a dovetail on there. Now we do the same thing on the other side. Not even close yet. Way big. It's plenty big, but it'll be all right. Incidentally, you don't get your fingers out beyond the tool rest. Those corners are really nasty.
Larry, as you're doing this, should that tailstock be tightened up more? Does that sort of feel a vibration that wasn't there a little while ago?
Well, it's going to be, cause you're just scrunching. I mean, it's scrunching the wood. Hopefully, we're not going to be on here too much longer. Now's when the catcher needs to be ready. Ready, Bonnie? You thought I was going to turn that all the way off, didn't you?
Yeah, the catcher's out.
Hopefully we can do the same thing over here. Now it's not as dangerous as it was. I hope. Okay, we'll put it on this way. Incidentally, if you have any of the old style Nova chucks, the ones that use the key, don't lose them. The Nova chuck is the best bang for the buck, in my opinion, on the market. And I particularly like the original style. They have a different Oh, that goes over here. Is that what that thing's for?
No, that works, that's the grab hold and pull that pin out for your safety shield that goes on that big wire
That's pretty.
cage down there.
That's pretty cool. Now we can get down to business. I might have to use that small tool rest. That doesn't go in there. Yeah, but will it stay straight?
We're hoping next month to have one. of that
Yeah, I
size.
forgot it.
That's way further over the tool rest than I like to be. Okay, let's see what happens. Now we're cutting air. There's 3 corners. In between them we're cutting air. Not yet, but we will be. Okay, here's my target. This one, and this one. You have to be very careful because as you approach this, it's going to want to tear out. And if that corner tears out, there's no way you can fix it. Well, yeah, you can fix it by making the end flat, by sanding it off. But once that tears out, you're done. Now, as I approach this corner, what I need to do, I need to change to a push cut. I don't like push cuts. There's tear out. There's a lot of tear out. There it's smooth. Actually, not as much tear out in that as I usually get.
Given a push cut like that, that'll eliminate some of your tear out, doesn't it?
Yeah, but then it creates it on the other side. Yeah. See right there, it's badly torn out. There's tear out. And you can't avoid this because the grain is switching so rapidly. Now I can remove some of that. If I can get at it with this tool rest. It's better. This is a very shallow bevel. It's a little bowl gouge with a very shallow bevel, and I can just ride that edge on that bevel, and it will allow me to at least remove some of the tear out. I have to have that closer. One push cut. Now obviously we're not going to do any sanding because we're not offering breakfast, and there is a lot of sanding, although I am pleased because there is a modest amount of tear out on this one. Well, maybe we're getting better. Wouldn't hurt to do just a little bit of negative rake scraping on here. Get some of the water out of it anyway if we don't do anything else.
Larry, was that last tool a skew or was that a scraper?
That was a skew. The last tool was a skew.
You used it as a scraper.
Skew is a negative rake scraper, really. The one I was trying to use, which I have sharpened as a negative rake scraper, is not sharp enough. It wasn't cutting at all, especially in this wet wood. You just see the water rolling up out of the wood. Okay, I'm going to call that done. I probably would not, if I were doing it and somebody can take this home and finish it, I hope they will, because we're not going to be able to get it all finished here. And incidentally, I brought a supply of, uh-oh, Lloyd, I just messed up your audio visuals here. They said it was going to get windy.
You were right.
I brought a supply of tea light candles, and you're all welcome to take them until the box is empty. These are not expensive tea light candles, and because they're not expensive, they're very inconsistent in size. So you need to have some calibers and measure the size. When you're putting the candle in, you don't want it tight. And you want this rim to be proud. Now, if you make it tight that you have to force it down in there, what it's going to do, it's going to force the wax out over, and also it's going to swell, and you're not going to be able to get it out until it cools down, and then you'll have to cut the wax and everything out. Not necessarily a big deal, it depends on what you use as a finish. They're in this box, and you can help yourselves. Okay, we're going to turn this around and do the business end. I have that same problem at home. I can never find my tools. Remember I told you once before, they put 2, sometimes they put 4 tightening locations on a chuck, that's for a reason. And it's highly recommended that you use all of them so that you're tightening the jaws down good. And on wood this wet, it's a particularly good thing. Now, I'm going to use the tailstock for a little while. I don't know how far out this will go. Go out pretty far. Now, we no longer need this. We're done with this. Now, that is assuming that I had finished this. You have to assume that I have sanded it, that I have put whatever finish on I want, and that I'm done with that. That's how I do it. There are other ways. You can, of course, jam this up against something. You can put it on some kind of a friction holder. Those who have vacuum chucks can probably use those. I don't use vacuum chucks. I never had much luck with them. But at any rate, we will assume that we have sanded and put whatever kind of finish on here we're going to put on.
Other than getting a vibration and being slightly out of round or whatever,
Yeah.
why can't it be finished that way?
Why can't what? Wait, Joe. I'm not sure.
I say, other than maybe being out of round or something
Mhm.
other right now, or not being 100% as we were,
Uh-huh.
why can't you sand it now?
Well, you could.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you could. Yeah, you could sand it. You could sand it now and actually sand it and finish it, which is what I would do. That's what I did with these. Then I did jam chuck them to take the foot off because I decided I didn't like it sitting up in the air as much. So except the one over there. So I took the foot off. But I will have to come back and deal with this at some point in time. Yeah, it's not running too bad. It's out a little. We can live with it. That is way too far over the tool rest, incidentally. I'm going to get that a little closer.
So where do you get cypress? You have to go to Mississippi for it?
Beg pardon?
You have to go to Mississippi to get cypress?
No, actually the cypress came from Florida.
Oh.
The cypress came from Florida. This did not. This I ordered from a company called Greenwood Inc. They're on the internet. And the reason I ordered it from them is they offered 5 by 5. So I didn't have to cut it. I mean, well, I had to cut it, but it was essentially close to the size that I wanted. Greenwood something other. Not overly expensive. I think 2 of these 5 by 5 by 12 was $29, which isn't too bad. It's not off as much as I thought it was going to be. I think an end just went. No, it
Do you
didn't.
recommend wet wood rather than dry to do this?
Oh no, dry wood's fine. It's better. It's better to do it with dry wood. But we'd have the place all filled up with dust, so I was trying to spare us and myself of that. No, dry wood works better. Ooh, that could run off the end, couldn't it?
Yeah, I'll just push it all the way back. There's a stop there.
Doesn't have to be all the way back, but this has to be out. I have the scars to prove that you need to take those out. Now I bet there's an end off of it. Yep, see there, broke that end, broke that end, broke that end. But that's okay. It's not, you make it thin enough, it's not total tragedy. I don't like these tool rests, to tell you the truth. But that's personal. So you know the 3 marks of a master wood turner, I'm sure. 3 marks of a master wood turner is he makes it look easy, he never admits to a mistake, and he knows when to quit. That's when you're too far over the tool rest. Okay, now we have to start right about here. Tell you what. That just doesn't fit tight enough to suit me. Now I bet it'll go in there, won't it? I got it. Now you can go down as far as you want with this. As long as you're under these ends, it doesn't matter. You can put your tea light in wherever you want. You don't even have to put a tea light in. You can take the tea light out of there and you have a three-cornered bowl. That one I did just to see if I could do one of these things. And I took it all the way down. I thought, no, where am I going to put the tea light? They advertised this demonstration as a tea light. Well, we've got to have a tea light, so then I fooled around and did some of the others. What time is it?
It is 8:34.
Okay. About time to get this done. Some of you have to travel, and it's going to be a nasty night, I think. down as it goes. That's a catch. A master turner would never admit to having one of those. We'll take it out. Okay, this particular tea light is
Where you said there's variation there, what are you talking about, a 1/16 of an inch or more?
about 1/16 of an inch or more. Yeah. Yeah. They're supposed to be, they advertise them as being 1.5 inches. Well, that depends on how hard you press on the little shell. You can make because it's very thin material. These are El Cheapo. This is the, if you get the nice glass ones, you know, that go down in there, they're pretty consistent. Actually, this isn't too far off. That's 1477. So we'll figure 1.5 inches, and we want it to go for depth about about 1/2 inch or 5/5. Boy, that thing is way out there before it starts to move.
Yeah, they don't have very much depth to them.
No, no. This is 1 1/16 Forster bit, and I like to sneak up on it. I don't want to drill it to the actual size. So that's going to be about right. With my little, with the little point out there, that's 439. That'll be pretty close if I go that deep. Now we'll turn the speed down. Are you all familiar with this tool? This is Jimmy Clue's box scraper for cutting nice square corners in boxes. Works very well. We have a long way to go. We'll have to do that a little faster than that'll cut. Not quite. Now in these particular ones, there's a little lip down here on the bottom. So you have to make, let's see how close we are to going in there. Oh, we're in there now. Yeah, that's good. Now we need to make just a little lip down there, a little offset, little groove down in here, whatever it is. That's about right. Might be a little loose, but that's pretty close to right and pretty close to how deep you want it. Now here again, you need to sand this up. This can be thinner. This could be much thinner. And actually this one needs to be thinner because I knocked those corners off. Also, probably you would want to take this starting right about here. You might want to take that down a little more to make this a little thinner. How thin or thick you make them, those are thin, but of course that takes time. How thick or thin you make them is dependent on, you know, your patience, your skill with the tools, how thin you can get it and still not have it fly to pieces, etc., and so on. Basically, this is how you do it, or this is how I do it. I shouldn't say this is how you do it. Basically, this is how I do it. It's wet. Any questions? What a mess.
Did a good job, Larry.
What a mess.